That's hard to find, especially
yeah.
Like you said, all the people around you felt that, but you don't. And that's very unique and very hard to find. It's such a young age.
Because like I said, life's too short, and there's no point like pissing around and sort of going like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or like I'll think about it. Like when the time's right, I'll do it. It's like, no.
There's no time.
Do it. Find out.
What do you think men's role is in society?
Oh God! Wow.
Right. Welcome to the Big Coach Show. So
thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
So before we get into that, so just tell me a little bit about yourself and your journey so far to this point.
Absolutely. So I've kind of obviously come a little bit prepared. So I've got a bit of blurb about myself. So come from Milton Keynes. I'm 23 at the moment. Born and raised in Milton Keynes, I suppose.
There's not many people born and raised in Milton Keynes.
Yeah, I know, it's a bit weird, isn't it? It's such a young... I imagine in the future it probably will happen. But at the moment, I guess, lots of people are coming in. But I guess, so born and raised in Milton Keynes, middle class, white boy, sort of typical suburban living life, I guess. Not much like happened pretty average sort of age, like things growing up, angst at school, all those sorts of things, I guess. My dad died when I was 13, so being an only child, obviously that was a massive blow. Sort of, I suppose, spiralled, I guess, for a long time, for about 5 years whilst I was at school, because again, you have that association with what's happened there, and you're sort of in that rut at school, you can't really get out of it, going to doing the same things day after day. Really sad, sort of like very, almost like demoralising, depressing, these sorts of things. Went to university, managed to almost fight my way out of that, I suppose. Took up boxing when I was at university.
Oh, cool.
So that was a really good way to channel my aggression and sort of my just unknowingness, I guess, about life in regards to like, what am I doing here, what is the point, sort of stuff. Decided I wanted to change, managed to just find boxing, went into a boxing gym one day, got punched in the face, liked it, constantly went back. It was a weird one. Managed to sort of like channel my aggression, I suppose. Ended up graduating university in 2 years. So I came out of university age 20 with a bachelor's.
Why 2 years and not like?
So it sounds a lot cooler, or like it sounds a lot it sounds a lot smarter than it is, and I use that to my full advantage. It's because essentially instead of having like a 3-4 month summer holiday, essentially I just do the work in that time period. So it's a 3-year course condensed into those 2 years.
You didn't fancy doing 3, just wanted to get it done.
I think so. I went to Buckingham as well, and it just so happened that it was really local, and I could do it in 2 years. And I guess I just wanted to work. At that point, I just wanted to graft and make some money.
Okay, cool.
So I jumped straight in. I was like, well, this is opportunity. It means I can be near my home, be near my mum, because obviously, like it was important to sort of be there for her. So I was like, and for her to be there for me as well. I'm not gonna lie, it's definitely mutual. And just did that. Did boxing. Ended up having a fight, so I was dedicating myself for like 15 months, so like cut out drinking, like just full on like proper work.
It's intense.
It's really intense. Like I hate running, but I did like 5K runs every week, and went to the gym 3 times a week and just absolutely grafted for it. Ended up having a fight, won it in second rounds by referee stoppage. Pretty happy.
Brutal, was it?
Pretty proud of it, I'm not gonna lie. And one of the greatest feelings. It was such an amazing feeling. And then about a year later, I'll keep everything chronological, otherwise it might confuse things. So around the same time, I started doing a sales job. It was just the first job I got out of university. Exactly. It was an interesting-ish job, but it was a lot of cold calling, a lot of just rejection, I suppose, from people when you're trying to sell a product that's one, really expensive, and 2, no one's ever heard of. It's quite difficult. It taught me a lot about how people work and how best to like interact with people and trying, if you need something from someone, like how best to sort of break down those walls, I guess.
It's a great skill to have.
Yeah, exactly. I think everyone should do a sales job. I think it's so key.
Yeah.
It's not fun, but I think it's important.
It's a great learning experience.
Yeah, 100%. And did that. Was pretty good at it, I suppose. Not gonna lie. Was also managed to build my way up. So I went from literally just sales support or doing the business development to becoming the national manager, basically. So running it, looking after all the accounts we had as well, which is quite nice. I really liked looking after relationships. We were working with like retailers and stuff, which was quite impressive. Whilst I was there, basically they flew me out to Berlin, our head office. So I worked out in Berlin for a month.
Is this what the magazine's called?
Yeah, so there's a thread here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I love Berlin as a city. It was such a vibrant place, and just that whole experience of going out there by myself really taught me a lot as well, because it was the first time I've been internationally just so away from everyone that I know and everything, I guess. And I remember the first Friday night. Just being so alone and wanting to go out and not having anyone to go out with, and I was like, no, I can't be doing this, and something I need to do it. So the next day I was almost terrified, but you almost have to push past that fear, I suppose. And then you went out, and I ended up having meeting loads of people, making some really, really good friends over there. People that I've seen subsequently, every time they come to UK, I see them, or I go and visit them, which is cool. But that was so much fun, and yeah, it was one of those. Yeah, just a nice moment. But yeah, the city is such a vibrant place and so free and liberating, and it's almost I don't care about the past. Yeah. We're looking at the future.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what I think, to me, Berlin encapsulates, and I love that as an ideology.
Do you think that's a false belief people have then in terms of what happened previously?
I think
World War I, II,
I think it's a generational thing. I think it's because people that, obviously they're still alive now, but they did fight, so they did have that perception. And obviously everything with the Cold War, and you've just got generations that experience that, and it's not what Berlin is now. So I suppose it's that mindset change, I guess. But as that gets further and further in the past, I think just the mindset will change, and the youngsters they didn't have to live through that, so they're going to just experience Berlin for what it is now.
Yeah, I asked that because I was reading a book called Shoe Dog. Okay. Phil Knight, who owns Nike, and he talks about the same thing in Japan. Japanese feel the same way. You go there thinking a certain thing, but it's actually similar to Berlin. By the sound of it.
Exactly. I mean, Japan is such a progressive place. Anyway, it's technology is just insane over there. In Seoul as well, and Korea is just it's just crazy.
It's maybe because of that they've now become what they are.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's you've got to have those I suppose this is just in life in general as well. It's you've got to have those dark times to push through and find the light, I guess. So yeah, went to Berlin, had a great time. Also, whilst I was in this sales job, I ended up going off. So I had a boxing match, and then literally almost a year to the day later, I was summiting Kilimanjaro.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, which was mad. So I think a couple of weeks after I had my fight, my uncle came round one day, and he was like, "I'm thinking about climbing Kilimanjaro," and on and off of his brother and my dad. What do you think? Is it something you want to do? And I was like, I've never climbed anywhere in my life. I've never thought about climbing. Never had any interest in it. But I was like, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. It's let's test myself. Let's see. It's I've done this. I've hit my goal in the boxing. That's cool. I could potentially go on. I could potentially carry on doing that and just get more wins. But I was like, I'm done. That's almost ticked off the list. That's done. What now? And then it just so happened that a couple of weeks later, my uncle was like, cool, I'm going to climb Kilimanjaro. I was like, that sounds like something that's worth testing myself with. And climb Kilimanjaro, which was so unbelievably hard.
How does it take?
So it can differ. I think proper mountaineers can do it in a couple of days, 3, 4.
Really?
Yeah, something like that. We did it over 5 days, I think, something like that. But it's so altitude is such a crazy thing. So I didn't expect it to be as bad as it was. Yeah. But it's just so, it just wears you out. You're just so constantly exhausted. Because the thing about altitude, no one told me this, is if you're sleeping at a high altitude, you can't, or you're trying to sleep at a high altitude, you can't, because your brain doesn't have enough oxygen. So it's constantly like in that threshold, that sort of like that pain point, and it can't like shut down because it's going, there's not enough oxygen, there's not enough oxygen. So
how do people sleep then?
Is it just badly? I think it's almost like your body, once you've done the route for a day, I don't know how far we climbed up. Age. Sorry, so I didn't swear.
Okay, it's fine. Okay, go for it. I saw the other day. I was like, oh, hello.
Yeah, you're walking, you're just absolutely knackered, and then like your body almost like just shuts down for like about 40 minutes sleep, and then when it's got just over that point of like bare minimum rest and recovery, then it wakes you up again, and then it's in that like oxygen depletion sort of stage. So you sleep for about 40 minutes to an hour every night.
Regardless if you've been up there 10 times.
Exactly. So all the not the Sherpas, but all the guides, they have the same sorts of problems because your body just, you can acclimatise to a degree, but not your brain. I think. Exactly. They say they all have that. They've climbed it loads and loads of times, and they say they can't get to sleep either. They just have the same problems because it's the body's all the same. I guess at the end of the day. Climb Kilimanjaro. That was like so tough, so very tough. But got to the top. That was a pretty inspiring moment. Actually, I think that's probably like the greatest moment of my life. I think it probably will always be the greatest moment of my life because of what it represented and the reasons why I did it, and then also like how tough it was, and then just getting to the top was just a release. It was just an absolute release. And so I'm not a religious guy, but it was like almost as a metaphor, it was like as close to my dad as I'll ever be in heaven, those sorts of things. And I was like, it was such a powerful moment, and I was like, this is, if ever like I feel down, if ever I feel like I can't do something, I always remember that moment, and then that's the thing that just drives me through to get to the next stage.
It's amazing.
Because,
what an experience.
Such a young age. I can't explain it. It was just it's just such a raw, powerful thing. It's like thinking about it now, I'm just like 100%. It's like I want to do it now, but actually I don't want to do it now. Something similar. I'll find something else.
Local hill.
Climb Kilimanjaro. Kind of, I suppose at that point, I was like, got very philosophical, as I would expect most people would at that point, and sort of again, like, what is the point, I suppose, you have this epiphany moment, you're going, what am I actually doing? Like, I'm working this sales job, I'm doing well, and I've got these opportunities, but what am I doing this sales job for? Money? Yeah, cool. Like, I've now got used to having money. Like, what about it do I like so much? And it's like, I have a comfortable life, easy life in Milton Keynes. I go out with my boys every weekend and we just go nuts. Great. But there must be more to it than this. And like, when you have that sort of moment on top of Kilimanjaro, like, life can be better, those sorts of things. And I was like, what, I'm going to try and make my life better. Awesome. So basically, everything in the sales job came to a head whereby they were closing down the UK office. But they were like, we're closing down the UK office, Sam, but we know how good you are. I was the only two people that weren't fired or made redundant from the UK office. I was one of them, and they said, we absolutely love what you're doing, like the energy you had in Berlin, XYZ, like all very, very nice. What we want to do is we want to move you out to Berlin permanently. So we'll give you this amount of money, we'll give you this subsidised, we'll give you like housing, we'll do this for you, free flights back to the UK and everything like that. What do you say? And they were expecting me to turn around and go, yes. I was like, no. It's like, why? It's like, you're 21, you can have everything if you wanted. And I was like, it's just not what I wanted, it's just not what I want.
That's hard to turn down.
It was. I think, well, to a degree, I think the materialist side of it, yes, because it is literally, because Berlin's twice as much fun as London, half as much financially. So it's just, exactly. It's like we've had a pretty good wage for someone in my position, and agents was like, just in general, it would have been that. But also at the same time, coming off the back of like Kilimanjaro and just wanting more from life, I was like, there must be something. There must be something that just motivates me more than money.
Did you think that at that point in time, if you were to not climb Kilimanjaro and then you got the opportunity beforehand, do you think you would have taken it and been in Berlin right now? There's always these
junction points. It's almost these what ifs. Yeah. I think if I was in Berlin, I'm quite pragmatic when I come to decision making, and as much as I'd like to say like I didn't give it a second thought after I said no, the truth is I have.
Yeah.
But I think I'm also quite clear with my convictions and my decision making process. It's like if I've made a decision, it's not out of emotional impulse. It's because I've made the decision which is the best for me at that moment in time.
Yeah.
So looking back on things, I don't regret me making decisions because I've made that decision based off what I know at that time. Therefore, I thought it was best for me, so I'm committed to it. I've committed. So I almost have like I have quite a lot of convictions in those things.
Yeah.
I mean, of course you have regrets, but at the same time, I made that decision, so I accept it and move on. So yeah, cool. But it would have been quite cool to live in Berlin. I'm not going to lie. It would have been mad.
Yeah.
But then, I would have been living for the weekends, and I was like, exactly. Yeah. And once I just got used to Berlin as well, I would have just gone, well, I'm just doing the same thing in Berlin that I would have been doing in Milton Keynes, all these sorts of things. It's like, cool, And so it sort of gave that up. Went to intern for a fashion startup. Boxer actually wearing their shirt representing.
Nice plug.
Yeah, exactly. Like they don't need the plug anymore. Really nice guy, really great founder. Ben, his name is, and essentially he just sort of like came from Coventry, came from literally nothing, and then basically had an idea. He was like, I'm just going to graft and make this fashion brand for boxers. But it's sort of like luxury clothing for boxers, like unexplored market. Basically, he just like grafted his way through uni, found and then built this brand from nothing. And then essentially, I think it's 2.5 years later, and he's got, I think it must be like 30 world champions wearing his stuff.
Oh, wow.
He's appeared in Creed 2. Really? So Michael B. Jordan's worn his stuff.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's mad. It's like, as a role model and as someone that like, as a way of doing things, a really impressive guy. And so like, just spent a bit of time with him, and I was like, this is cool. Like this is really cool. Like I love this whole startup vibe and energy and being able to make your own decisions and sort of dictating these things and building something, like building, I suppose, a legacy, I guess. Yeah. And I was very empowered by that sort of thing.
I want some of that.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, like, how I don't know the first thing about setting up a company, like building anything. How do I do this? So I ended up going back to university and doing my masters in entrepreneurship and management. I should probably remember that. I've got my graduation in like 2 weeks. Sorry, in like 2 months. Sorry, it's like I should definitely remember what class I'm in.
That's so your name. Don't worry about it.
It's entrepreneurship. Let's just say it's entrepreneurship. It's fine. Yeah, and went there, met so many cool people. So many people that are just like enthusiastic about building something of their own and just just that whole vibe, that whole vibe and excitement.
Different.
Exactly.
You can't pin it down. It's hard to describe.
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's that enthusiasm, and then you also have that. I suppose with just any sort of group of people, you also have like insecurities and that sort of like self-doubt. Like, oh, what if I can't do it? Like, oh no. And that was like quite a common theme in the university. And I was like, again, like I said, I'm quite clear with my convictions. I don't have a lot of self-doubt. If I made a decision to go to university and build my own company, I'm going to build my own company at some point. So, like, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's it. I don't have that like fear, I guess, of not doing something or doing something and not being able to do it. So I'd rather try than not try, that sort of shit.
Where do you think that's come from, then?
I don't know.
That's hard to find, especially like you said, all the people around you felt that, but you don't. And that's very unique and very hard to find. It's such a image.
I don't know. Is maybe because my mum, I suppose, is quite. She reflects a lot about things. She's definitely not pragmatic. She overthinks things, and she goes like, oh, like what if this happens? And she goes and she theorizes about all these different sorts of scenarios. And maybe I've just been the complete, I don't know, I guess just by looking at that and going, I don't know. And then maybe with just the whole Kilimanjaro and sort of, this is what I want, therefore life is too short.
That's great.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, I'm quite risk adverse in the sense that I will, I'll just go for it. If I want something, I'll go for it. Like I don't actually know the root of it.
No.
Maybe like now when we're talking about it, I'm thinking about it. Maybe I'll be able to come up with a better answer.
It's fine.
But
we'll bottle it and sell it.
Yeah, exactly. If we could, that'd be amazing. I can't remember what we were talking about. Sorry. Startups. Yeah. So I was there and I was thinking, this is cool. At the same time, one of my friends from another project, I did some work for someone else freelance a while back. Someone I worked with called Vish. Yeah. He reached out to me and was like, I've got this this new startup I'm coming up with. It's called Cheap Flights Club. Basically, it sends our customers email alerts just like a second or two after like this deal becomes available, and it's like the cheapest flights to European cities, or like you want to go to South America, like we can email like notify you if there's any like ridiculously cheap deals that like go under the radar. Because obviously the airlines don't.
Every time someone says that, an idea, I'm like, why hasn't I thought that before?
Yeah.
It's so obvious.
Yeah. So I mean, like I think there are two companies in that market space. Basically, they just sort of did it manually, or they. It just wasn't a particularly good system. It was either like you got spammed by the emails, or you couldn't customise. Basically, our niche of the way we tried to differentiate, I suppose, of just evolve in the marketplace, was to one, get them automatic, so we didn't have to manually search for these deals, and then two was also to have it customised. So people go, I want to, not necessarily like specific countries, but like I'm looking for cheap flights for like European weekend breaks, or I'm looking for cheap flights to South America in the summer. I don't know. And then basically you can you can filter out you can filter out the ones that are particularly relevant to you. So not particularly like groundbreaking thing, but just the next step. Yeah. And we got to that point. Unfortunately, we ran out of money, so we couldn't do anything with it. But we got to beta testing. We had like beta customers, and people were actually buying through our platforms. It was insane. It was just like, it was mad. Also, the first experience I've had, we had 4 interns, so it was the first experience I had of like managing people. Yeah. Which is so difficult. Again, at that point, I was still quite like, I'm doing this, so I don't care about other people, but like, this is my mindset. You should adhere to my mindset. Yeah. And it was all very like selfish, I suppose. And sort of working with these interns, I was like, they just don't think the same as me. Mm-hmm. And I was like, luckily I managed to rein it in before I like upset anyone or like caused any issues. But I was like, why are they not thinking the same as me? And I was like, because they're different. They're different, so think about that when you're talking to them. And it ends up being quite a nice process of sort of like self-reflection and understanding other people, I guess. I'd worked in teams before, but I'd never thought about it. Again, working in sales is very much a hunter sort of thing. It's like you catch what you kill, or you keep what you kill, whatever the phrase is, and you are rewarded for that with commission. So it's that kind of philosophy. So we ran out of money, and then just before Christmas in 2017, so 2017 to January 2018, I came up with the Berlin Club, and you alluded to it a second ago. So the Berlin Club, so we're talking about so Berlin, sort of creative thinking, the free flowing, sort of like stories told, and then like almost empowering people coming through to sort of, take that, have that mental fortitude. So I started creating posts on Instagram, just seeing what the market appeal was. I managed to find it, thank God. And I was like, if we can get 1,000 followers by the time I finished university, which was in 6 months, then maybe I'll do something with it. We ended up getting 1,000 followers within 6 weeks. Wow. Just organic. That was just, there was no...
When was this? What time frame?
This was January, February 2018. So not that long ago. So like this time last year. So
what were you doing differently to make it? Because some people struggle with that.
I was just engaging in other people's content, I suppose.
It was on other people's posts and talking about.
Exactly. So it wasn't like buying anything, or I wasn't trying to like overstay my welcome. It was just a case of, it was just a grind. It wasn't. It's not a difficult thing. It's just persistent. It just. Fortunately, I was at university. I'd had work time, but I also had a lot of other time. So I was like, I can just develop this as and when I want to. But we managed to get 1,000 followers really quickly. So I was like, well, people want this. So, or people are buying into the message at least. So I thought that's interesting. People like this philosophy. So let's distill that instead of let's not go down the shirt route, because I did the investigations into that. It's really expensive, and it's just
margins.
Margins, and then also like you've got to take into consideration these other things. I mean, the shirts I was sourcing were completely like supply chain and carbon neutral and ethical and everything. They were like 50% bamboo, 50% like organic cotton, so they're so comfortable. And this is like a plug, I don't know why I need to plug them anymore, but like it's cool. But I was really proud about this. They actually get more comfortable the more times you wash them, the more you wear them, because the bamboo viscous also breaks down, so it makes it softer.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so I was like, I was pretty...
50% organic cotton?
Yeah, 50%, it was 50, bamboo viscous organic cotton. I think that was the breakdown. It could be 70-30 bamboo. Oh yeah, but it was
I've never heard of a bamboo.
Viscous, it's like the compound of it. Yeah, it was so good. But then you also so I had to find those individual shirts. Then I had to find like the stitching, the labels. You had to make all of those. Then you had to do the packaging, like just the whole process around it is just
delivery logistics wise.
Yeah, exactly. So basically, your entire profit margin goes when you sort of have to deliver internationally. So it's like no thanks. So I was like, well, let's do something that's free. Something that adds value but doesn't really cost me anything apart from time or other people time. So let's focus on the message that we're trying to present, which is giving people that fortitude to believe in doing their dreams, to follow their passions. So we basically came up with the idea of just writing articles and sort of telling stories of up and coming and existing talents. So we've gone out over the last month. We started in February this year, doing interviews. So we've got a couple of bands. One of them is like meant to be one of the next like alt J, like highly rated. I think they've won an award as like Europe's most up and coming like unsigned act or something. We went to interview Black Saint as well, so Grammy nominated artists. That was mad as well, because we had we went from 1 week, we went from Rumours, who were like this unsigned band, to Black Saint, who are like on Warner Music's label. So we were interviewing these guys, but then we also had Warner Music in the room, and then we also had their PR team in the room. So it was like going from just like meeting these guys casually in a pub to like this full thing in this like music studio. It was mad. It was like,
how to get in it?
Yeah, like okay, cool. It's like, this is my second interview. What's going on? Like this has all gone a bit turbo, and I mean it was a great experience. It was so much fun, and the guys were really nice, and everyone we've interviewed has just been so honest and so easy to get on with, because like same as what I'm doing now, you're telling your story. You want to tell your story, of course, who doesn't? So we did that. Then we interviewed Natalie Johns, who's this film director in South Africa. She was such a cool person. But we've done the first batch of interviews now. We're now going to push on. We're probably going to get about another 3, 4, 5 interviews. Batch them all together. Hopefully have some either like creative theme, I suppose, as a thread, and then hopefully launch in June. So there's a lot of social media development and audience engagement, and a lot of need to do that whole 1,000 in 6 weeks sort of thing again. Probably need to like absolutely smash that, but that's the plan. So that's the Berlin Club. So as I said, it's a social enterprise. It's not making me any money whatsoever. So
that will come.
Yeah, exactly.
I think
it'll come. The plan is to merchandise it in the not too this. Well, probably in a couple of years once we've got enough traction. Once it's become something of value, and people realise I'm not trying to make money from it. As the primary function is for people to take conviction from it. I guess once people realise that, then I can start merchandising, or I can just develop it however I want. I suppose I haven't really thought about it.
Opportunities will come as you go along.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not too worried about it. I know that the message is strong, and we've got a good value proposition. Once we release our MVP, it's a lot easier to describe to people, because at the moment it's an idea in our head, and you can use it in words. But once it's visual, once people can see it and see what we're trying to say and what other people are trying to say and the purpose, then it almost quantifies it, and then that's even easier to get your foot in the door, because people go, oh, you're just going to make this, but for us.
I get it. People go, oh, I get this. whereas he's describing it for 20 minutes to every single person you meet.
And they go, what do you do actually? And it's like, I'm just going to interview you. Just leave it at that. You're going to get some press coverage, mate. It's fine. Just accept it. So yeah, I'm not doing that as the day job. So I currently, from Monday 9:30 to 5:30, different office hours. I work for a company called Elmarks, and they run accelerator programs essentially for big clients. So the likes of like BMW or Lloyd's, or I was working with British Airways in December. Basically, they come to us with a range of problems that they have within their organisation. They go, can you find some startups that will be able to help us out? We go off, we find all these startups, they then get shortlisted down into a group of like maybe 6 or 10. They could then come into the program, and then essentially it's my company's job to just make sure that both parties get the most out of this relationship. And then once that's done, essentially it comes over to my part of the business. So you've got the accelerator program, and then you've also got the investment side of things. So I work as an investment associate. We were a team of 2, very small. But basically it's my job to look at the startups coming through these programs and decide if we want to invest money into them personally, I guess. Which is quite an interesting thing. So you see all these companies, you see the progression through the labs. You don't have to, because like looking after these companies is really intense. I have done that in the past with the British Airways program specifically as well. That was really, really intense. But the investment side of things, you're literally like just almost at arm's length, and you're sort of like looking at these companies. You're looking at the team, you're looking at what they've done, and then you're looking objectively. Then you do have a subjective side of the team, and then like your own opinions. And then you can. It's my job to convince my boss, and then his boss. It's only a 2-step process, which is quite cool for the organisation, the position I am. Basically it's my job to convince them this is a company that we want to invest in, and then we invest in them basically is the process. And then we have a portfolio. So at the moment we have 40 companies we've invested in, and my duty is to essentially look after those companies, making sure that if they want another round of funding, that we have a network available that we can tap into to basically go, these guys are looking for $500,000, $2 million, whatever the amount is. We know you're a perfect VC, let's introduce you to guys. Or we have some people that have set up a startup and they're just really inexperienced. They don't know what they're doing. It's a one-man band. The application is great, but they just don't know how to, either look for funding, or they just don't understand all parts of business, because one person can't be a team. Exactly. So we've got to sort of help them out as well. So it's a really, really fascinating job, because all we're doing is just helping startups grow, which I think which is essentially what the Berlin Club is. It's all I'm doing is basically helping people achieve their aspirations. So it's great. I just get to sit there and just chat to very cool people or very rich people, and just be like, what's your story? How did you do this? What did you do? And then just make decisions as well. I mean, sometimes it really does suck, because you have to be like, we're not going to invest money in you, which is, a shame. But it's the decision that I've made, or something. So you have to be quite clear in your convictions with it. And you just, the best form of kindness, I suppose, in that sense, is just brutal honesty as well. It's like, you're not good enough. So it's like, it is what it is.
Because that rise or fall with that information.
Exactly.
Stay as they are.
I think so. I think if everyone was just too polite all the time, nothing would ever get done. Just like almost just cut through the bullshit. It's like, we didn't invest with you. Not I suppose not because you weren't good enough. It's like, but this is our criteria. We don't align. Therefore, we're not going to invest in you. Those sorts of things. But I've been doing that for the last 8 months now, I think. So it's pretty crazy. But I suppose that's a little bit about me. Literally it's lasted for about 40 minutes. But,
fine. I like it. Cool. Alright, so I've got a set of questions here. I'll run through them. Try and keep it as I can, but it might divert out.
Of course, I expect nothing less.
It's a conversation. Okay, cool. So, what do you think men's role is in society, in your eyes?
Oh my god, wow. I don't know. I suppose through the and this might be quite an archaic thing, but just to look after the people you care about.
Okay.
So I wouldn't necessarily say like I'll be the breadwinner of the house, you know, that sort of thing. I don't believe that in the slightest. But I think it's a man's job to look after the people they care about. So like protect your family and to protect their interests, and then also be happy as well, I guess. But I don't think you should sacrifice your own happiness for someone else's. I've done that before. It sucks. It's just demoralising and draining. And at the end of the day, you're unhappy, so they're going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
So
I know that one.
Yeah. So I think that I think providing is probably the thing that I get a lot of satisfaction out of, is being able to provide for the people I care about, or being there for the people I care about, and then just that inspires my own self-esteem, and that's how I get satisfaction and happiness. So I think it all kind of links together. But I suppose that is how I look at it, I guess. Okay.
So that's your view on what a man should be like. What do you think other people's views are? What do you think people...
I don't know, honestly.
Do you have a general consensus around you of people you see and think, oh?
I don't know, I haven't really thought of that, I guess, about other people's perceptions of men. I know what women think about men, but...
That's a show for another day.
Yeah, I don't know, I suppose with men actually, I suppose in modern society, and maybe this is getting a bit too philosophical, but I saw with the whole fashion side of things, is there's this perception of you have to be like this big like man, like rugged, you know, the whole like James Bond sort of thing, like suave, sophisticated, cool. And you're not allowed to share your feelings, you're not allowed to show them, I suppose. Or like if you're showing your feelings, you're weak. And there's almost a stigma associated with it. I think that now I've sort of looked at this for like mental health, and obviously my mum's a counsellor, so I've had lots of discussions around it. I think this stigma is starting to diminish. But I think also at the same time it's very difficult especially for someone my age, to say like I'm scared, I'm insecure about this, I'm this, because as soon as you say that, everyone else goes, and it's not because they think, oh, he's insecure. It's like, oh, like shit, like if he's insecure, it might mean that I'm going to bring out my insecurities and present it to them. So there's almost like this defense mechanism around it.
And you still think that's current with people, because that was only a 10-year gap between us. I feel the same as what you just said, and that's still the case. You think at your age,
I mean, I suppose
your peers
again. Yeah, I suppose the thing is, I don't really have. You're older than me, so I can't say like I'm going to feel like this at this point. It's like I can only really refer.
How do you feel? Because I know how I feel about it.
Yeah,
I was wondering
I think it's really sad to like that. This is like a man should like not have feelings almost, and I don't like that. And I think I used to. So like when my dad died, I basically just almost shut down from the world and just became numb to feelings, to mine and to everyone else's, and it almost like it just wears you down, I suppose, because you don't have that compassion, you don't have that honesty, I suppose, because all you've done is you just put up walls, and basically you're just saying to everyone else, don't touch me. It's like it's only been the last, I suppose, when I went to university, which is kind of where it started happening. That you sort of realise like, oh, it's actually okay for me to be who I want to be, and like to sort of break down these walls and just be like, I don't care if you're insecure, like I'm just going to be me, and I'm just going to be happy because I've been sad for a long time. I want to be happy. I'm going to be happy, and I don't really. It's not I don't care about your feelings. It's just I'm going to do me, and that's okay. It's almost like just accepting that, and I think especially in men, I think it's just across the board. It's very difficult to sort of have that self-love, I guess. Yeah. Awesome. Did that answer the question?
No, great, perfect. So, how do you break through your limiting beliefs to achieve your goals?
Yes, so I suppose, like I said before, I'm just very. If I want something, I'll go out and get it, or I'll at least. I think the fear for me is that I'm more scared of not asking or not doing something than actually the fear of doing something. The not knowing thing for me is like I can't do that. Like I'd rather do something and it fail than not do something and go, oh, but what if I did this? I could have achieved my dreams. I could have done this, but I could be here. And it's like I'd rather just try. Like I said, I'm quite risk adverse in the sense that I will do something, or like if I think that this is a way of achieving my goals, then that is almost like what I must do.
Yeah.
Because like I said, life's too short, and there's no point like pissing around and sort of going like, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, or like I'll think about it. Like when the time's right, I'll do it. It's like, no,
there's no time.
Do it. Find out. Because there's not going to be a perfect time. There's not going to be a perfect time for someone else. It's like you're never going to have that aligned. So just do it. I think is my philosophy on it, I suppose. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. And then, what is your biggest challenge right now?
Ooh, time management. So, like with a full-time job, and then trying to start up a company as well. It's very difficult to do, like, to have two jobs. It's mad. And then also that whole work-life balance as well. I don't want to stress myself out, so I go out with my friends and we do this. Fortunately, with the Berlin Club, I'm doing it with two of my really good friends, so it's like almost one and the same, and we have the same philosophy. But it's also good to just have a drink after work or something like that, just sort of unwind. And so I stopped boxing for a while, and now trying to take it up again. Yeah. Like trying to fit all of this into a day is just like, it's so difficult. So I'm at the moment I'm trying to figure out what I want from life, what do I get value from, and then basically prioritize them as a result, I guess. So it's just a case of figuring out what I want, and then because I know what makes me happy, but then I can't dedicate my entire life to making me happy because I'd be poor. I am poor, but like that made me sound so materialistic. I wouldn't be able to support the people I cared about. Let's say it that way. I wouldn't have the material things to be able to give to provide for people. So, and that would make me sad. So it's like you've got to have that balance, I guess. God, I can't believe I said poor. That makes me sound so bad. It's recorded as well. It's those material. It's just having that balance. I think is the difficult thing. But I'm not too. It's a challenge, but I'm not worried about it because I know I'll figure it out. Okay. Like I said, I've got enough self-belief to go. Yes, this is the obstacle I'm facing, but in however long, in one day, I could think about it like tonight. I can think about it in 6 months or whatever. It's not going to be. There's going to have a solution. So, if you look at it from the other side, it's like things will. I'm going to make my life better. So that's a good thing. So push towards that, I guess. You have
a very strong belief system, don't you?
So I'm quite. So internally, yes, I'm very ethical. It's like I don't like people cheating the system, I suppose. I believe that you get what you with life. It's like the amount of work you put in, you're entitled to get the rewards back. And I hate the idea that people cheat the system or things like that. I think that I don't really know how else to describe it apart from what you just said. That it's like I've got quite a strong belief system in the sense that like if I want something, I'll go out and do it. But then also like you have to look after people as well. You have to be there for other people. So I think that there's almost like a quid pro quo. It's like if you're there for people, they'll be there for you.
Yeah, definitely. You're a team of people.
100%. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So, what do you think most men struggle with when it comes to building a better body? Change direction.
Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, I'm definitely not the best representative of this at the moment. I suppose when I was doing boxing, I was like quite fit and quite lean and everything. So I suppose I can talk about that. For me, it was diet. I think having the diet was such a I didn't appreciate how important it was. I think everyone wants to be fit, so everyone can go to the gym, I guess, and everyone can like pick up weights, or everyone can do this, everyone can do that, or running or whatever. I don't know. But like, I think the diet is such. It takes up a lot of time as well, and you have to really consider things. For me, that was the hardest thing. Was watching what I put into my body. And I suppose yeah, I was kind of lucky in the position that I could like buy nice things to put in my body. I could have bought organically, so I could have just been very fortunate just be able to afford to be able to consider those things, I guess. Whereas some people just that's not a choice. So that was quite nice, but yeah, that was the toughest thing, just sort of getting my head around that. And then the funny thing was, once I had my fight, it was all just went out the window. Yeah. Because like I said, when I have a goal, I will do everything I can to make sure that that goal is achieved. Excuse me. Once I'd achieved that goal, I was like, well, I don't need this anymore. I don't need the diet. I don't need to go for my runs. I don't need to do this. So next challenge. And like, the next challenge is Kilimanjaro. Yes, I suppose like dietary and being fit is there's a degree of it, but I don't need to be so like
you can get
into the inch. Yeah, exactly. It's like to get ready for Kilimanjaro, you go for walks and you build up your stamina. Well, I've got stamina from running, so cool. Like but yeah, the diet thing wasn't much of an issue, so that went straight out the window. And I think it's just that consistency, and I think it's having that goal, and because it's almost secondary, I suppose, is the dietary things. Like you don't see the immediate benefits, but you have to do it to get to what you want, I suppose. So it's having that almost like reinforcement in your mind that this may be a secondary or tertiary thing, but it will ultimately it's not a consistent thread. I think it's almost on the side. In my opinion, anyway.
And then, so why do you want to start the boxing up again then? What's made you think, right, I need to get back in there?
Yeah, that's a good point, I suppose. It's such a great way of channeling aggression. Like I said, when my dad died, I was just so angry with the world and so confused. And it was just like, I didn't know what to do. And then, like I said, I stumbled into this gym, and it was such a refreshing thing, because you would literally just have someone pummeling into you. I remember this for the first 2 months, someone like just literally just trying to take your head off. And there was just something in my mind that I was just like, you're like getting hit, and I'm just like going to get you back, or like this, like it was such a strange thing. It's like I'm going to get better at this, and it's like I suppose it's almost like primal instincts. It's like that fight or flight thing, and I guess it just turns out that I like a fight. Like I like to struggle to achieve something.
Do you think that's a man thing, if you like? Whereas like...
No, not really. So, no, I used to think that, and I used to think, a man should be macho, and like fighting, that's like whatever. But not really.
I mean, as in primitive, as in that's an instinct to do that?
Potentially, I suppose so. I mean, again, to a degree, like a man has to look after his family, that's my philosophy. So, knowing how to like look after yourself in a fight, if you're protecting someone else, I think that's a good thing. So like there are lots of different things that come off the back of it. But I think the sport in itself isn't a particularly like macho thing. Like, I've seen like very macho guys like that come in thinking they're macho just get absolutely destroyed on, like wailed on by like the skinny guy that they thought that nothing was on. So it's like it's just a very humbling thing, but it focuses you to, because I suppose it's almost like a metaphor for life as well. It's like you get shit, you just take shit, and you just have to carry on going through it to achieve what you want. So I suppose boxing was almost like the point for me to like change my philosophy on life, because I was just expecting to go through like, you know, sort of work for a big corporate, work up that corporate sort of life. That's what I was expecting from it, until I sort of, you know, decided I wanted to change it up. And I suppose it was such a refreshing thing for me, because it's like I'm getting hurt, but it's like I don't care about getting hurt. It's like because I want to do this, because I want to fight, because I believe in myself. So it's such a nice way of...
Did it reinforce that belief system?
Yeah, exactly. I think it's probably actually the core of the belief system, and then I think the philosophy I have now is just built off the back of it, I think.
Do you think that's because fitness is a crucial part then? Do you think having that belief in like I can do something through fitness as an expression to then empower you in other areas of life?
I think so. Fair enough. Yeah, and I get that. I mean, I think boxing is a self-expression for me as well, because I've got other ways. So like I love graphic design. I love designing things on digital platforms and being able to use metaphors and things and use your mind. But then also, it's weird. It's like graphic designer, boxer. It's such a dichotomy, I guess. But like boxing is also a metaphor for me as well, because you know, like, I don't know like how much you watch boxing or anything like that, but you always have like a different style, or like everyone has like different techniques and stuff. And it's only when you fight someone else or you look at it in more detail, you realise that their style of fighting is a representation of who they are as a person. So like I said, I'm very risk averse, so I always take risks. So I always have my hands down, and I always like almost like not taunt people. I'm not trying to. Yeah, seriously, it literally is. Yeah, that's genuinely how I fight. And I've got long arms as well, so it's like that balance of like who you are, like that body, and then also who you are in your head is like trying to find that right balance. But yeah, I literally fight like this. I do that, literally hands down. And I almost like, literally I almost taunt people. And it's not because I'm going like, I'm better than you. It's because I'm fighting my own head. Because it's almost like proving to myself that I'm good enough, not to anyone else. It was so weird, like my first fight. So it was really short notice actually. I think I was told 3 days before the fight that I was fighting. Which is not typically the case. You get like quite a fair bit of notice. They were like, "Oh, we've got a fight on Monday. Do you want to come?" I was like, "Fine, yeah, cool." Didn't tell any of my friends. It was like because it was a big room, and like they could have turned up if they wanted to. It wasn't because you go into a fight, you're going to win. Like I said, like I've got that mental fortitude. There was no doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to win. But I was like, I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for anyone else. It's like, yes, it would be great when I win to have you there and celebrating with me, cool, but also at the same time it doesn't bother me because I'm not doing it for anyone else's approval. I'm doing it because I want to believe in myself, and this is the goal I've set for me to believe in myself. Therefore I want to achieve it. Do it by myself. This is how I'm going to achieve it. Like I said, won it in the second round and I was like, cool, but literally there was nothing in my mind that I was like, I wish I was sharing this moment with someone. It was just like,
it's for you.
This is my proud moment, and I'm going to be proud by myself because I've worked for this and I've achieved it by myself. So
So, how do you nourish your body at the moment then? So,
how do I
nourish your body in terms of food?
Badly. I'm so bad. So like I said, time management is like really difficult for me. And I always like I said, I like to unwind. So I always meet friends after work or go out for like a pint with like my work colleagues. So I get back quite late. And like I try not to do work at home as well, because I like the idea of home being somewhere where you just relax and detox. So I tend to work from my office, so whether I'm doing the Berlin Club or working for Elmarks, once like I like to have it separate, or I like to do it in a working place, which means that
they let you carry on working there.
I mean they're happy. Once I finished at 5:30, they're like cool.
Oh, cool. That's nice.
I mean obviously as long as I'm doing. If I need to do work for them, I need to do work for my company, of course. But like, it's fine. And it's like but no, they're quite good with that. So basically, that means I catch the train at about like 7 or 8 every night from King's Cross to Milton Keynes. So that means I don't get home till about 8 or 9 or something. So it's then you've got to make like good, like if you're making good food, it's just like you don't have the energy. So I've been eating a lot of like ready meals and stuff. So particularly nourishment coming into me at the moment like pretty poor. What I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to get back into boxing, so it's a lot more like fresh stuff now. So it's just a case of preparing those things, or like I'm also actually, to be fair to me, at work the last few weeks I've been like going out and eating like salads and like smaller things with like pasta meals rather than anything that's like a ready meal or anything that's just like shit, I guess. But I'm quite bad with the whole balance and the consistency of everything at the moment, but it's definitely something I am trying to get better at.
Cool.
It's just a case of it wasn't on my priority list, but now it's starting, now it's slowly creeping up, so now it will be something I'm going to consider, but it's going to take a bit of time to get back into it properly.
Cool. Awesome. And then what was your favourite sneaky treat?
Oh god, Pringles. Paprika Pringles. Oh my
What's your pub?
Absolutely, the pub. I could just smash a tube of Pringles anytime, any place, anywhere. Honestly, it's it's quite bad. It's quite bad.
I've got Pringles in the bed.
Wake up and just be like, what's this like powder? Like, whoops, my bad. Pringles, 100% Pringles.
Right. Cool, fair enough. And then, in your view, on men. What is your view on men being open and vulnerable? Because you kind of tapped a little bit into
it. I think.
So,
how
do you feel about being open and vulnerable?
Cool. So like I said, I used to be quite numb to everyone. Yeah. I guess I used to be like, I still had this ethical principle, and I used to still care about everyone. I just wasn't very good at presenting it.
Yeah.
I also tried to be like, you know, like, I'm a man, I must provide for people, therefore, like, this is my way, you know, that sort of very direct approach, which I still am, but I've made myself more vulnerable, but I'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
I think that men being vulnerable is not a bad thing. Like I said, we were talking about the stigma earlier.
Yeah.
I think there is a stigma, but that stigma is presented, or people think that about people that it's their own insecurities, like I said. So if people think, oh, if a man's being vulnerable, he's obviously not, he's less of a man. It's not them saying that to you, it's them saying it to themselves.
Yeah.
Because they're too scared to tap into that vulnerability, in my opinion anyway. So I kind of, again, like I said, mum being a counsellor, like you kind of learn those sorts of things. And I was like, I care about people, but I'm not very good at expressing it.
Yeah.
And it's like, people will express their vulnerabilities to you if you're vulnerable with them.
Yeah.
If that's what you want, if that's what you want from them. If you just want to have a laugh, don't. Yeah. But if you want to have that deep connection with someone, you've got to be very open and be quite brutally honest with yourself as well, in regards to like, what do I want from life? Where do I want to be? How am I going to get there? And this is actually quite tangential, but one thing I've really noticed as well with other people, which I try and constantly avoid, is when I ask people like, well, what do you want? And everyone's like, I want everything. And it's like, you can't have your cake and eat it. It's like, if you want something, you've got to sacrifice something else.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, like I said, with the boxing thing, it was 15 months of sacrificing, socialising, or drinking, I suppose. Like, I did still socialise, but it was like just giving that up, or giving up going home and watching shitty TV, or doing this. It was like or sleep, like waking up earlier to go do my road work. It's just like, it's you have to give up something, and I learned that from quite a young age.
Yeah.
It's like, if you want something, you're going to have to give something else up. I appreciate that, accept it, and then move on, because that's a decision you've made.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really difficult thing for other people to comprehend. But in my mind, it's just how I've sort of been raised, and how I've grown up, and how I sort of deal with things. Which is, I suppose, that may be like why I have that mental fortitude, because I appreciate that things don't last forever. So like, accept them and like have as much fun as them with you can, but then also get on with it if that thing changes. And I think people don't like change, and neither do I. But then also, I suppose I've accepted it. I've accepted it's part of life. So. Yeah, that kind of went on a tangent, but the men's mental health, talking about the vulnerability side of things. I think it's so important if that's what you want from someone else, or if that's how you want to present yourself, then you have to be yourself.
Yeah.
But then you have to be sincere with what you want from yourself as well, which is kind of the thing I've been trying to learn over the last year, is like how to be vulnerable, I guess. So it was a very difficult learning curve, going from that whole like numb, like sort of, I can't have feelings because I have to block myself up, because I can't show my mum my feelings because I don't want her to get sad, because I want to look after her. I don't want to make her sad about me being sad. So it's like, you kind of have to grow out of that, I suppose, or just learn how to develop out of that. And I've managed to do that in the last year quite well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Still needs a lot of improvement, but I've managed to get a lot better. But yeah, it's just what you want. I think sincerity is such a underutilized thing that you also do learn it when you're older as well. I think at the moment, at my point in life, like, not many people my age are quite open and honest. Yeah. They all still think about like, what will someone else think?
Yeah.
And it's like, I've just got bored of thinking like that, if I'm honest. So I was just like, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to get it, and if you don't like how I'm going to do it, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me, because I've got enough self-belief in what I'm doing to get it.
No insecurities to worry about.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got insecurities. Of course, I've got insecurities. I would love to have a better body. I'd love to eat more like healthily, and I'd love to be able to provide things and go to nice places and explore and all these sorts of things. And of course, I've got insecurities, but I know that the things that make me happy, so the motto I have for the Berlin Club, and I think this, every time I think I've got an insecurity, I always refer back to what I'm preaching to other people.
Gotta be congruent.
Yeah, exactly. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Yeah. So you've got to practice what you preach, I guess. So it's like everything you desire is on the other side of fear.
Ah, yes, I like that. Cool.
So I love that as a quote, and it's like, yes, you can be insecure. Yes, it's okay to be insecure, but you're insecure, but do it. Do something about it. Because if you're just insecure for something and you're never going to change it, that's not healthy. You can be insecure, but that's cool. But go and change it then. Go and change it then. If you're insecure, you want something, or you don't have something, so go and get something, or lose something, whatever the thing is. Yeah, that's my mindset.
Feel the fear and do it anyway.
100%. Yeah.
Cool. Like it. Okay. Cool. How do you stay connected with friends, family, and loved ones?
I'm quite bad with these sorts of things. So, my friendship group, we've known each other for about 15 years.
Oh wow!
And we all went to school together. We all went through shit together. We all understand each other. So our friendship group can literally when we were at university was a prime example. We all dispersed across the country.
Avengers Assemble. I always think about my
Avengers Assemble. And it was literally like we had a WhatsApp group, but like no one used it, I suppose, until like the Christmas or Easter. And we all came back and we were just identical. Like nothing changes. And I suppose we're so close as a friendship group that it's actually quite difficult to make other friends. Because you're like, well, I've got my friends here, like, why do I need anyone else? And we all think that way, and like, we make other friends from work and from other places, and it's nice to speak to other people with a different mindset. But like, my friends have been there for me when I've had like a shit time. So they're like we all and vice versa. So like we all like the system ain't broke. We're all here for each other. We always will be here for each other. So it doesn't matter if I speak to you every day, if I speak to you every year. Like we're all just the same. With my mum, like at the moment I'm living with her, so it's quite easy, I suppose, to stay connected. I think we talk about a lot of things. Again, with her being a counsellor and me trying to like figure out the next parts of my life, or like who I am as a person and what I want from life. I definitely really appreciate what the position she's in and how she can help me because she knows me as well. So it's just very great to sort of it's just great to have her counsel and her understanding of me, my development as well, and then be able to apply what she's learnt and into like how you can better yourself.
You also like super accelerating everything.
You're
tapped into someone.
It is mad. It's I feel like I've done everything so quickly with my life that like I don't know if that makes me sound quite I don't know what the word is, but it is true though. Because I see people my age. And they're literally like, oh, I'm just, getting by. I'm thinking about buying a house in Milton Keynes or doing this, of doing this. And they're all just so demotivated. And it's like, oh, well, I've done this. And it's like, oh, okay, that's cool. And it's like, I didn't mean to like make you, I'm not picking myself up. It's just how I've lived my life, like whatever. Of course, like with my mum, like you're not the relationship isn't perfect. You're always gonna have your ups and downs, but like I'm there for my mum. Obviously, like we've gone through shit. Like obviously being the only child, now being the man of the house, and then obviously like just the situation with my dad as well. It's like we're just there for each other, and I think we'll always be there for each other, which I think is the nice thing. And then with loved ones, so I've been terrible at relationships. The thing is because I've always been quite pragmatic in the sense that. If I want to, like, I'm just direct, I guess, which works sometimes, which is great. Then also I appreciate for my partner on the other side, like she would find it quite intense in the sense that it's all or nothing with me. Like I say that, like it is.
I say it all the time.
But it is so true though. With me, it's just like if I want to be with you, I wouldn't. If I didn't want to be with you, I wouldn't be here. So I'm here, therefore I like you. but people like I've also grown up not needing much self-assurance. So I've got it myself. I don't care about people saying, oh, you look nice today, Sam, or like, oh, that looks cool, or well done you, or like, or giving me a pat on the back. Or literally, it's like, But I appreciate with other people, it's different, and I've learned that the hard way, I guess. So it's one of those things that I'm trying to get better at. I appreciate I'm not perfect at it. I'm nowhere near perfect at it, but it's something that I want to try and get better at. So that's probably a challenge, but also at the moment, so I'm single at the moment because I just don't, time management, I just, like I said, I'm trying to figure out what I want next from life. So I think it's unfair for me to go out with someone and be like, oh, like, how do they know what I want if I don't know what I want? Or how can I support them if they can't connect to me on that level? So it's like, I think it's just better for me to sort of figure out what I want, and I'm comfortable with that as well. It really doesn't bother me. I'm comfortable with doing things, like I said, by myself and just making sure that I'm happy personally. Because I think when I'm happy personally, the right person will come along. And it doesn't matter when they come along, because they'll turn up, because it'll be the right time, or I'll be happy and therefore I'll put myself in those opportunities. It's just like one of those things. It's like sometimes I think like, oh, it'd be nice to, you know, have a girlfriend again. But I say, whatever, doesn't bother me.
Wait for the right one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like I know that when I find the right one, it's going to be great. So,
awesome. And then, how important was it while growing up to have a male role model, or not having one in your instance? What was that all like? Because you're 13.
Yeah, 13.
You know, and your father passed away, so it was...
I think it was difficult, I suppose, is I guess a pretty obvious answer. Being the only child and then sort of being thrust into the male, being the male of the house, I guess, is quite difficult. Also, I remember distinctly people saying that as well. It's like, oh no, the dad's not around, you've got to be the male. When I was like, obviously it was 13, I was trying to figure out what being a kid is, and then now I've got to be an adult. Like, it was quite tough and quite daunting. Like I said, that's kind of why I had these sort of like blocked out, you know, emotionless, because I was like, I'm assuming that's what a man must be, because I've got... Also, my family's quite stoic in that sense as well, so I was just like mirroring like the various uncle my uncle and things like that. So it's kind of trying to it was difficult, man. And then the only other thing you have is like media, I suppose. So you've got to
learn somehow to be
exactly,
people around you, resources you've got, and then you kind of build around that. Like, okay, this is what he does, and this is what he does, and kind of like amalgamate.
Exactly. I didn't really have a lot of male role models growing up. I guess also now I don't really have a lot of role models. I honestly don't know. Again, like I said, I've got no point of reference to go against it. It's just a case of it was the situation I was in, I guess, and I can see it being difficult, but then also it was just how the cards fell for me. So, do
you feel like there'll always be a part of you missing because of that, to an extent?
100%. Yeah, I think so. I think there's always going to be a sadness. There's always going to be a deep sadness with not having him around, which absolutely breaks my heart. And I would do anything to have my dad back, but the fact is that's not going to happen. So I've got to step up and basically be who he wants me to be, or like be. Like my dad was like he's basically got the philosophy was like, look after the people you care about and do that sort of stuff. So like I know that he would want me to be that sort of stuff, or do that kind of stuff to the people he cares about, so like my mum and whoever else. But also at the same time, I know he would say to me like, you've got to be your own person. So that's kind of before university, before boxing and all those sorts of things, I didn't really know what that meant. Again, I was growing up, how would I know what that meant, right? So
now you get it.
Yeah, exactly. And now I'm sort of doing these things, and I wouldn't necessarily say not caring about other people's perceptions of me, because of course you have to think about those things, but being happy enough to be you. Like, I think that's such an important thing, and it took a while for me to figure it out.
Yeah.
But then also at the same time, I think some people go their whole life without figuring it out.
Yeah. I say it all the time. It's true. So true.
Yeah. You know that, and
deathbed and.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I'm kind of. Yeah, I went through a lot of shit when I was younger, but also at the same time, it's made me who I am. Some of it isn't good, some of it wasn't good, some of it's getting better, and some of it's great. But it's just the situation, I guess, and yeah, and I'm started like I guess I'm just accepting who I am as a person now. It's like I know that I'm always going to be direct, so if there's a certain situation, I can be direct. I'll be as direct as I can. But then I also know to reel it in if I'm talking to someone that has like anxiety or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's a difficult one. Yeah, growing up without a male role model. It's like my friends, none of them have sort of gone for the same sorts of thing. Like none of them, and I don't know. It's like I think they've all got like stable relationships with their father, and but they're still my boys. They're still the same as me. So it's like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, it's a strange one. It's a strange question. Yeah.
Okay, appreciate it.
Also, yeah, so no apologies. Yeah, I can't. No. On that, but
yeah. What is your biggest learn in building relationships? Would you say?
Communication.
Yeah.
I wasn't very good at communication in the last couple of relationships, I guess, because again it was that whole being stoic and being the man sort of thing. Now I've learned that like being honest. And you made this point about being vulnerable to people. I thought being vulnerable was a weakness when I was younger. It's like it's not. It's being that strength. It's having that fortitude to say, yeah, I'm scared. But then also, I am. But that's the way. That's why I kind of like the way my mind works. I'm not saying it's different. Not saying it's better. Not saying it's worse. It's just the way my mind works. Is that like I am scared, but I'm going to push through that fear and I'm going to get what I want. And I like the fact that I can do that. And I think there's a vulnerability to it, but then there's also a self-security to it as well. And I think that just finding the right balance between those two things is perfect. But yeah, I'd say it's also very difficult for me to put my point across when I'm thinking like that as well, because if someone has not had like I said, I've got loads of counselling for my mum, so it's like I can articulate in those ways. She knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But if I'm talking to someone that isn't a trained counsellor,
they
don't have. Yeah, exactly. So me saying all of this to them when they've got their own insecurities, they interpret it in different ways. So it's very difficult to sort of find the balance. But I guess I've learned to just be honest with myself now. Just be completely honest and just try and communicate. Just try and communicate as much as I can about what I'm feeling or why I'm feeling it. Yeah, which I think is, and that's the scary thing as well. Like, because you go, oh no, this is going to like probably incite an argument or like revealing something about myself. But I suppose at the end of the day, if it makes the relationship stronger and it makes things better in the long term, then I guess you have to take that short term.
Yeah, it can be hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, what is your vision in terms of your business or career in the next 5 years?
Ooh, wow.
Where's Sam?
Oh, mate. It's a tough one. I guess I'm happy, honestly. Like, I think what I'm doing with the Berlin Club is it makes me happy.
Yeah.
So for the foreseeable future, I want to do that because, like I said, it makes me happy. I get to speak to so many cool people.
Sounds amazing.
And just learn as well, get these different insights into life, and I think that's such a fascinating thing. So I want to keep that up. Again, in 5 years, I don't know, but like I said, I just want to be happy in 5 years. And if that's still making me happy in 5 years, I'll still be doing that. What else? My day job, I really like my day job. It's so cool. And then I suppose the same sort of thing applies in that sense as well. Like if that's still making me happy in 5 years, then I'll do that. Like I said, graphic design, I really love creating things and building things and like finding solutions to problems that necessarily wouldn't have something quantifiable attached to them. So I like problem solving in those sorts of senses and just self-expression and yeah, I'll just stick with my original point. I just want to be happy, and it doesn't bother me what that is, what that looks like. As long as I'm happy doing it, then that's what I'll be doing.
Could be open to opportunities.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. What does financial freedom look like to you? And then I attach another question. Oh, go on. Answer that one first. You lit up there.
I don't know actually. I guess it's kind of. I have been financially free, but you always want more money, don't you, I suppose? I guess financial freedom for me is being secure in the knowledge, I don't have a specific number in mind here, but like being secure in the knowledge that I can provide the people I care about with the things they need. Cool. And that's basically the bottom line of it. Yeah.
That was all. And then, if money was an object, what would you love to do?
Oh, this is a great question. What would I love to do? Coach. I would I wouldn't start my own boxing gym, but I would coach at a boxing gym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That was literally what
that threw me a little bit. Why
yeah. Because I like the idea. So I've done a bit of coaching with the kids at our club before, and I love the idea. Actually, I'll do that half the time. I'll do it part time, and the other half I'll do something that makes me happy, like the Berlin Club. Yeah. But I will stick with the boxing club thread. Yeah, it's so nice because you have all these kids that come in and they don't have like self-esteem, or they're bullied at school, or they just, like I said, they just don't believe in themselves. And then you take them on the pads, or you see them on the pads or something, and they hit like this thing, and the sound comes across, and they can feel the power that they've put into it, and they can hear it, and you can see the reactions, and then you literally just for a second see their eyes go like, oh my god, and it's almost that moment of like self-belief. It's like almost not the first time they felt it, but it's like they feel that for that like second they feel indestructible, and I think that's such a cool thing. Yeah. So like I love the idea of being able to provide that for other people. I think just on a selfish level, it just gives me a lot of satisfaction helping people. But then if I'm helping other people, it's not selfish, right? So that's my justification. But yeah, I just love that glimpse of hope that these people have, because they've literally, like I said, the amount of like stories you hear from that gym, it's just like, they just don't have self-belief, or they were bullied, so their dad takes them to the boxing gym, and it's like, it's such a nice, rewarding feeling to see that happen to someone, I think. Yeah, so I would do that for someone. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
Give them the same opportunities that like I walked into the gym with, I guess. So yeah.
So it's very personal.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Cool.
Do it awesome. People paying it forwards, I guess.
Yeah. Well, paying man. Yeah. I have 3 more last questions.
Okay.
Who is your biggest inspiration and why?
Oh well, my dad will definitely be my biggest inspiration. So I think like we were saying this earlier, it's like. Yeah, I know he would want me to look after people I care about, but he also wants me to be my own man, I guess. So that's kind of always the inspiration I have. And with Kilimanjaro, obviously that was in his memory, and obviously going up to the summit and achieving that, and almost having that epiphany of like, life's too short, I'm going to do what I want. That all stems from the reason why I went up there in the first place. So I suppose, my dad would definitely be my biggest inspiration.
Awesome. And then what does the word empowerment mean to you?
Self-belief, I think. Being able to take courage or find inspiration from within, I guess, or maybe from other people, I suppose as well. But I think empowerment is all about taking information, or taking a concept or a feeling or something else, and putting that in a positive way into yourself, and growing off the back of it.
Cool. I like it. And then, if you could give one message to all men out there, what would it be and why? Say one thing.
Wow. Trust yourself, I think. Be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself, no one else is going to be honest with you.
Cool, good. Like it. And then, how can this platform help you? So anything you want to promote, say?
Yeah, so no, it's a bit of a shameless
where to meet you, how to follow you, how to find out more about you.
Perfect. So we talk about the Berlin Club for a bit. So just any follows on that or any engagement in that would be awesome. So we've only got an Instagram page at the moment, at the Berlin Club, all one word, all lowercase. So just follow that, and that would be great.
Check it, awesome. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Really good.
Appreciate
Thank you.
It, mate. Thank you.
That was really good.
Really?
Yeah, I loved
awesome.
it. Yeah.